Hello everyone, Ben here with a solo game of Dominant Species. So this was a solo variant posted up on Board Game Geek by user Dale Buonocore, following a reasonably simple AI that has a number of pre-scripted options but also random placements of actions. So we'll see how it works. It's set up for a two-player game, so you have yourself and then your AI opponent with the standard 7 action pawns for a player in a two-player game. However, as per the variant, you are limited to 5 action pawns. And in this case, the AI is going to be reptiles, and we are going to be the arachnids. And everything else is set up as normal, so you have the normal layout of the terrain tiles, and then the basic setup of the species cubes. And yeah, everything is all set up as normal. So we get to go first. Because arachnids are lower in the food chain than reptiles, we get to be first on initiative. And basically you do action placement first, so you have your action pawns and you place them out on the various actions. And then once all action pawns have been placed, you then go from top to bottom and perform the actions if there is such a pawn available. So let's go along then and do the first action, which would probably be, I think adaptation is a nice one to go for. Will get us, will get us better suited to other elements. And then the AI will do, so the AI always does several pre-scripted actions, and then it will do reasonably random actions afterwards. So at the start, for the first round, its first pre-scripted action is going to be a speciation. So it checks to see its elements on its board. At the moment it only has the pre-built sunlight. So it will try and therefore do a speciate onto sunlight option, which is fine. Which leaves us with, well, speciation isn't a bad idea actually. So probably onto grubs. We are partial to grubs as our elements, and there are several in our starting area, so that's fine. Which leaves the AI doing a second pre-scripted action, which is going to be adaptation. So following us there, which means we can do, I think Wonderlust is a good idea at the moment. So there is a nice sea tile that we can move on to, so we'll probably grab that one. And then the AI wants to do, right, so its third pre-scripted action is going to be another adaptation. Leaves us with probably domination. Nothing's been picked there yet, so that's fine. And then a second speciation for the AI. So it has exhausted its preferred option. So basically now it goes left to right and picks the next available one. So it's going to go for the meat speciation there, leaving us with, I think, Glaciation probably. So then the final pre-scripted action for the AI is going to be domination. It always tries to at least one domination per round. They're always good to do. And then because we have run out of action pawns to put out, it now falls to the AI to basically finish up. And it has no more pre-scripted actions, so it's done its 5 ones in the first round, at least anyway. So the next ones are going to be random. So it rolls a d12, and it basically checks the number, then sort of counts off from top to bottom and does the relevant action. So 12 is a domination at the bottom there. And then 6 is going to be 3, 6, depletion, I believe. Well, there's nothing there for it to affect, so it will simply skip this option. So it doesn't try and do wasted options. It will skip the option and shift down to the next available one, which in this case is Glaciation, and it's quite happy to put its action pawn in the Glaciation queue there, so that's fine. And then we are all done with action pawns for both players, so now we come to actually doing the actions. So top to bottom, and you just basically do them where there are action pawns to perform the actions. So first off is adaptation, so in the queue left to right, we are first for that one, so we'll grab that. and we've already got grubs, so probably seeds, I think. So we have some pre-built grubs, so now we have some seeds as well. That's fine. And the AI is reasonably similar. It's looking for unique elements. So it will check left to right, is this a unique element? And if it is, it will take it off the board. So it will grab some grubs and place them there. And again, meat is a unique element, so it will take that meat and also place it onto its board. Like so. Okay, next we're going to come down and skip all these because nothing happened there, onto glaciation. So we get to do good old glaciation. So you get your dreaded tundra tile and basically try and mess up things as much as possible for your opponent. So this is set in the oncoming ice age, so you're going to have tundra tiles spreading out all over the place, and I think turning this nice savanna into a wintry wasteland is probably a good option at the moment. Yep, that seems fine. And then the AI's pawn does not shift down, it simply waits there until the reset phase, and then it will move down, so it will get to do a glaciation next round. So there is only one main glaciation action generally per round. And then we come down to speciation, so AI wants to speciate onto meat. So the way it speciates is it simply counts up supportive tile points and determines which is the greatest number, so which is the best tile for it to move on to. So that is going to be, so it's going 2 points for sunlight, and then 1 point for meat, for grubs, and 1 point for meat. So looking at options, it's got meat here and meat there. So the adjacent tiles, for this one at least, is going to be 2 points for that sunlight, 2 points for that sunlight, and then a point for that meat. So it's going to be 5 for the desert, and 2, 3, 4 for the mountain. So from this meat element, it can move out to 9 points worth of supportive tiles. So we do exactly the same thing as this one. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 points worth of supportive tiles for this meat element, which means that's the one it's going to move out from. It's the greatest number, and it follows standard speciation rules, so every surrounding tile, as per the element, gets a number of cubes. So tundra gets 1 because it's the lowest number. Mountains and deserts get 2, and then forest, jungle and savanna gets 3, and wetlands and sea get 4. So that is the number of species as per the tiles, and it's going to do a sunlight speciation, which basically follows the exact same pattern. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8. So that is 8 points from that sunlight there, and this one is going to be, what's this, 4? Was that 2, 4, 6, 9? Sorry, yep, 9 points for that one. There is a bit of math required, and then 2. So that was 4. That was 5, and that was 3. Nope, 4. So basically, this sunlight is the better one to speciate from because it gets you the most support for your species. So we will do it again. 1 onto tundra, 2 onto desert, and 2 onto mountain. So, yep, looking good there. Well, looking good for the reptiles anyway. And then we speciate onto grubs, and we are not restricted by counting any points. We just put them out basically wherever we like to do. And I think probably supporting this, getting species onto this wetland is a good idea. So wetland gets you 4, jungle gets you 3, and tundra gets you 1. Right. That was speciation done. So now we come on to Wonderlust, and we are the only ones doing Wonderlust. That's fine. So yep, we're going to grab this lovely sea there. So basically, you grab a tile of your choice, obviously higher victory points are better probably, and place it out where you like. So I think here is probably good because we've got two areas of species we can move on to it. And then you may grab an element of your choice. You don't have to, but if you can, it's obviously beneficial. So probably these grubs, maybe. Yep, I think these grubs. And we'll place them probably here to give the most support to varying tiles. And then in food chain order, obviously we are the only ones to do so, you can move across species. So probably that seems about right. And, oh, and I forgot. So when you place tiles, so basically tundra tiles or Wonderlust terrain tiles, you get points based on the adjacency to where you place them. So for this tundra, we placed it adjacent to one other tundra, so we should get, as per the bonus table, 1 extra point. So we should give ourselves 1 point there. And likewise with the terrain tile, we placed it next to 2 other terrain tiles. So we check the table and we can see that 2 gives us 3 bonus points. So very simple. And you have a handy table to check, so we get 3 more points. And that was migration. Nope, sorry, that was Wonderlust. Migration is skipped. Now, as the arachnids, we get a free competition. So every animal group have its own unique ability. So arachnids is we get a free competition. Reptiles they get to do a free regression if they so choose. So we shall compete. It doesn't make too much of a difference really, but I guess we'll start trying to whittle down this forest a bit. So basically you just, when you compete, you simply eliminate one of your opponent's cubes, as long as you're on a shared space. That's fine. So that was our competition, and now we come to domination. So we get to do the first domination. So domination is a two-tier check. Basically, you look at a tile and you simply check to see who has the most species, and they get the most points. And then lower down numbers will get fewer points if there's available points to be had. So this C is going to get us 9 points, so we may as well score that one, which gets us on to 13. And then you check to see which species actually dominates the particular tile. So which one has the most matches with the surrounding elements. So again, we are the only ones, and we have grubs on the tile and grubs on our board. So we will get to dominate that tile and choose a card. So you have 5 to choose from. So there are 5 put out at the beginning of each round, and you basically go through the options and just choose whichever one you like the look of really, play the card, and various things will happen, hopefully beneficial to yourself. Although sometimes not. When you look to see a domination of a tile, you are forced to pick a card. Basically, you cannot skip the domination part if you are so dominating. So I think that one's not very good at the moment. Could do evolution, which would tie us up for tundra tiles, but I'm not that fussed. Nothing's been eliminated yet for hibernation, so that doesn't apply. Could do a glaciation, that's always nice. Or biodiversity. Wouldn't get us that many points, so I think we'll do a glaciation. So we'll basically pick the ice sheet card and follow the action. The action says perform an immediate glaciation, so we will do that. We'll grab another tundra tile, and where do we want to place it? So mountain would get rid of the most reptile cubes compared to desert, but forest would spoil it for points. I think we'll do the desert actually, because it is probably the highest point scoring for the AI at the moment. So we will again turn it into a wintry tundra. So 4 cubes come off, 1 gets put back on, and the other 3 go back into the reptile gene pool. They're not taken out of the game, they just get placed back for future actions. And that was that. And we get 2 adjacency tiles, so we get another 3 points. Up to 6. Okay. And that card is then just discarded from the game, and then for future domination actions, there are less cards to choose from for other players. So the AI is going to choose now, and it's going to come along and take its action pawn off, and it's very simple. It basically looks for points first, domination second. So where it's getting the most points is currently this mountain, so it's going to get itself 3 points. If it was to score the forest, it would get 5, but we would also get 3. So it's basically a net of 2. So it's going to get more points from this mountain. So it will choose the mountain, score 3 points, so it gets itself the first point for the game. And then it does have matching elements, so it can dominate the tile, and it will pick a card. And the AI has a hierarchy of domination cards to choose from. So each card is in its own little tier, and it basically tries to do higher tiers first and then lower tiers last. So I believe, let me just double check the list. I believe that biodiversity up the top here is the highest of all the available cards. So not just in the queue, but highest in its level of priorities. So it's going to select biodiversity and follow the action, and it's going to get itself a victory point for each tile that it shares with one or more opposing species. So in this case it's going to be 2 tiles there for 2 points. So not very many, unfortunately, like that. And that card is out. And then it's going to do a second domination. So it cannot score the same tile twice. You only get to pick a particular tile once per round. So the next one is going to be this forest. So it's going to get 5 points. We're going to get 3, which would be slightly more points than if it did, say, this tundra. So fair enough. So 5 points for the AI brings it to 10, and 3 for us brings us to 19. And then we check to see domination, and this might fall in our favour actually. So the AI is getting 2 points towards domination there from its grubs and meat, and we are going to get 2 points, 3 points, 4 points for grubs and the 2 seeds. So we have grubs and seeds like so. So yep, the AI is very simple. It wants points first, categorically. So even if it loses domination on a tile, it still wants the points for it. So it has gained the points, but we get the domination of the tile, so we will get the card pick. In this case, probably not that particularly useful. Again, hibernation is a bit of a wasted card. Evolution, well, I guess we could do evolution now, actually. Wouldn't help too much, but it wouldn't really hurt. Or basically a free move for the next round with instinct. Again, nope, I'm happy with evolution. Rather us than the AI anyway. So select up to 2 opposing animals, well there is only one, the reptiles, and replace one of their species with one of ours. So we may as well, let's move them out of this forest then. So we'll do that, and we'll put our one in instead. So it's fine, not too much of a shift, but there we go. And we are all done with domination, so now we come to the reset phase. So at least in the start of the game, there will probably be no extinction. I did miss moving this element tile off. So any element that's caught between 3 tundra tiles automatically gets removed when it comes to glaciation. But no other elements to be moved, and presumably no one has moved on to tiles that don't support them. So at the moment, all species are supported by relevant elements that they have on their boards, so they're all going to survive. This will change later on and species will start dying out in great numbers, most likely. So no extinction. There is survival. So you basically come to the survival card, which is always present, and you check the category for it, or the qualifying parts. So basically, which animal has the most species on tundra tiles? We only have one, unfortunately, and then the reptiles have 4 on the various tundra tiles. So they are surviving the most on tundra, and they will therefore get bonus points according to how many tundra tiles they are currently on. So they're on 3 tundra tiles, and 3 will get them 6 points. So it's not too bad catching up there, up to 16. Might have to try and get them off those tundra then. So we've done survival, and now we simply do a bit of reseeding. So anything in the Wonderlust comes off, as does anything depletion, as does anything in regression. And then everything else just basically shifts down 1 step, and you refill the main areas. So back into Wonderlust there with 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 into abundance, and 1, 2, 3, 4 into adaptation. Okie dokie. And we need 3 more cards into the card row, so there's always going to be 5 when it comes to the domination. And 5, good. And any Wonderlust tiles, you get new ones flipped up from the stack. Okay, and then we are good to go. So again, we get the first available action. Is it worth doing a Wonderlust straight away? Well, we could do one onto seeds. We are looking at seeds at the moment. However, looking at the options available in adaptation that are going to move down to regression, we're going to lose those seeds at some point. So it might be worth... I don't know if it's worth... Probably not grabbing another one at the moment. And there's nothing we can really adapt to that isn't going to get moved off as per regression later on. Although we could save ourselves. Well, okay, so we'll do an adaptation there, and we'll see how that works. So the AI then has several more, so around to it has slightly less pre-scripted actions. And the first one it wants to do is an adaptation. So it will come along and do an adaptation there, which means that we could do, yeah, I think maybe a Wonderlust then if we're going to try and save ourselves with seeds. So that would be fine. Which leaves the AI doing a second pre-scripted action, which is going to be a speciation. So it has the most sunlight still, so we'll try and speciate on the sunlight. We want to do definitely a domination then, because the third pre-scripted action the AI is going to do is a domination. And this glaciation pawn should have moved out the reset phase. Okay, so now we could do maybe a competition. So we are competing on tundra and we're competing on forest. So we could do tundra, forest and savanna, or tundra, forest and desert. So each competition action has 2 elements or 2 terrain tiles, and then tundra as a default. So maybe that, or maybe speciate onto somewhere else. We've got 2 more actions. I think one of them is probably going to be put into the glaciation queue, which leaves us with 1 more. Maybe speciate then. So if we speciate onto seeds, yeah, okay. And we're going to get a free competition anyway, so it's not too bad. And the AI has come to the end of its pre-scripted actions, so it's again going to start doing random ones. with a couple of caveats. If it finds itself getting low on elements, it will try and do adaptation. If it finds the board is getting low on elements that support it, it will try and do an abundance. Neither are in effect at the moment, so it's just going to do some random options. So 4 would be 2, 3, 4 abundance anyway. It does have meat, which it is partial to, so it will abundance those meat out. And then 3 is going to be regression. It's getting a free regression anyway. So the AI's free regression will save its meat from coming off its board. So it will skip that, shift down to abundance. It's already going to do one with those, so there's no point doing a second one. So it comes down to wasteland. And basically it checks to see, is it going to lose elements it cares about next to tundra? And there are several sunlight elements facing onto tundra, so it will definitely come along and remove that sunlight from the wasteland box and save those from being taken off. And then final action. I completely forgot we missed our final action pulled somewhere, so we should be doing a glaciation. Wouldn't have affected the order of things, so that's fine. And then the final one for the AI is going to be another domination. So yeah, that's all fine. Just a simple misstep on my part. So all actions are accounted for, so now we come and do them. So again, adaptation. What's the AI going to pick? It's going to pick the grassland. So would it be best for us to then also pick the second one? No, I think the seeds is still a good idea. So we'll grab the seeds, we'll put it on a board and make ourselves doubly attractive to seeds. And the AI will come and grab, so unique element as per its board is going to be the grasses, like so. And those were the 2 actions there. And then regression will take off 1 meat from everyone's available elements, as long as they're not pre-built ones. So we have no meat, we are fine. The AI does have meat, but it is saved as per its special ability from 1 regression. So that's fine. Now it will come and do abundance, and it is partial to meat, so it will try and place that element in the best spot possible. So it wants to place it so it's supporting its highest victory points tile. At the moment, its highest victory points tile is currently this forest. So it's in an effort to up its chances of gaining dominance in that forest. It will place it on the forest, and then it will try and place it next to the most species it has available. Well, at the moment, it's just these 2 corners of the forest, so it will place it there. And it's technically a random option, so actually it will go there. So there are 2 equally available corners, and it will choose randomly, in this case, the top one up there. Then we come to wasteland. So it has 2 options here. On its board it has elements of sunlight and elements of meat. So which one does it have more of? Well, it has more sunlight. So it wants to try and save sunlight from being taken off any tundra. So we'll remove that sunlight option from the wasteland box, and then any other elements there will now be removed from touching tundra tiles. So it's going to be water, which in this case is here, and then meat from that tundra and that tundra, like that. Okay, and then we come to glaciation. Oops. So we come to glaciation, and the AI wants to basically disrupt as many cubes as possible for us. So we have the most cubes, unfortunately, on this wetlands, so it will simply put its tundra tile there and get rid of 2 cubes for us, back to our gene pool. And There's nothing in the middle, so that's fine. Yep, that looks about right. And then it will get itself 2 adjacency tiles is 3 points. So another 3 points for the AI, catching up on score. Right. And then our glaciation pond will wait until next round. So speciation, we need to speciate onto sunlight. Let's have a look then. So it's going to be 2, 4, or 4. Yep, it's going to be better speciating into this area. So it's one species there, 1 there, and then 2 for the mountain. So that mountain is getting quite full up there. And then we get to speciate onto seeds, so probably we could speciate out from here and start competing in this area, but I think the mountain's lost anyway. So it makes sense to actually speciate out from this top seeds up here and move on to those tiles there. Like that. Okay. Which leaves us with Wonderlust. So grab that, and there's a savanna or a jungle. Well, the savanna is slightly higher points, so we'll grab that. And we are partial to seeds, so we'll get that element as well. And if we place it probably here, and then we can put the seeds in the middle there, and move a couple. Well, we're going to get the next glaciation anyway, so this sea is currently safe. So we'll leave a couple more cubes there just in case. So something like that probably. Okie dokie. And nothing for migration. We get a free competition, so we could eliminate this last reptile species from this forest, or we could work a bit on this tundra. Either way, well, probably the forest then, and we'll let the reptiles have the tundra uncontested, or not very contested anyway. And then we get to do domination. So we will score definitely this C again, and we will get domination for it. So we need to be doing 9 points, which is up to 28. And then we get to pick our choice of the cards. So hibernation again, instinct, not really. We are currently first on initiative, so nocturnal is not that very good. Biomass. Might not be a bad, well, it would affect us slightly. Or fecundity. Yes, that's probably the better option. So we'll grab that, and basically we get to propagate out onto all tiles where we currently are. So forest, tundra, more on the tundra, jungle, savanna, and sea. And hopefully that won't come back to bite us. Right. So that's that, and the AI is going to get 2 dominates. So first one again is going to be the mountain for 3 points and a card, so up to 22. And again it checks the available cards, and again I will check the available cards, and I don't believe there is anything on the tiers. So basically now it picks the topmost of the cards which it doesn't particularly care for, and simply discards it, but it does get 5 points. So it's a bit of a help for the AI, and it gets itself 5 points for a discarded card, like so. And then it's going to do exactly the same thing again. So taking that off, and it's only going to score basically 1 point for either of these tundra, so it will just get itself a point in any case, up to 28, so it's matched us. But again, it's going to take the top card off and get itself 5 points. So not as per a normal game, this is just a quirk of the AI to help itself get a few more points. And that would be everything. So we now come to extinction. So now the elements have been taken off. There may be tiles which do not support the current species. So looking at these, the reptiles all look fine. They are all adjacent to sunlight at least. We want to be adjacent to seeds and grubs, so yep, we look fine as well. So no one's going to go extinct. We check to see survival again. So now we are currently 5 for us and 6 for the AI. So it is going to win the survival on tundra. So again, it's on 3 tiles, so it's going to get itself 6 more points. So moving into the lead there by a fair amount anyway. And then we do some reseeding. So we need to flip Wonderlust tiles as another C, that's pretty good. We need 3 more domination cards. Okay. Glaciation pawn moves across to bring it into the new one. So that one comes off for Wonderlust. And then all these move down. That is off for regression. And we need a few more. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. And finally for adaptation. Okay. Right, we are still first. The AI has not taken initiative just yet. Okie dokie. Which means we are only limited to 4, unfortunately, now. Our 5th one was the glaciation pawn that got moved across. So, well, we're definitely going to do a glaciation, which is nice. Let's grab a Wonderlust. No, let's grab a domination. Because in round 3, the AI's, so round 3 and onwards, the AI's pre-scripted actions are always now 2 dominations and 1 speciation. So it is going to do its first action, a dominate, which leaves us with, well, definitely Wonderlust now, probably. So second action for the AI is going to be domination. We could adapt, actually. What's going to come off the wasteland tile? So wasteland is water and seeds, which means we're going to lose those seeds, but we'll still have grubs, and we're going to lose that water. So it's probably not worth adapting into water at the moment. And we're going to lose a seed to regression. So actually we might want to adapt back into seeds, like so. Or maybe meat. No, I think seeds is nice. We've got some seeds in the Wonderlust area that we could put out anyway. So we'll keep going with seeds and grubs at the moment, which leaves the AI speciating onto sunlight. And we have a final action pawn. There's nothing really we want to compete on. We're not actually in the AI's territory at the moment. We could do some Wonderlust, but I think there's no point Wonderlusting into tundra tiles. The only thing that we could go into is this mountain, which is... I'm quite happy to let the reptiles have that mountain all day long, quite frankly. So actually we might want to do a second Wonderlust, maybe. Yeah, maybe a second Wonderlust. We are going to lose... no, I think we're okay. We are going to... Yeah, so I think a second Wonderlust, and we'll see how that goes. So the AI now is basically got 4 available options, or actions, sorry. So the second one is going to be adaptation. So it can still adapt. It does have 1 space left on its board, so it will basically come and do 1 final adaptation and fill its board up. Right, number 2. So there is technically space for it in the adaptation area, but again, this pawn would fill up its board with adaptation with element tiles, so there's no point putting a second action there. So it will now start coming down, and yep, it can. Well, it's going to get a free regression to save this grass, so it's going to miss that out. So can it come and do abundance? It does like the look of that sunlight, so it will do the abundance there. And then 12 is going to be a third domination for the AI. Oh dear, okay. and 11 is going to be competition. So looking at its current options, it basically checks to see where it can take off the most of my species. Well, at the moment it's only competing with us on tundra. And tundra is the wild element for all terrain, so it will simply go left to right and place its pawn there. And then we are done with actions. So we need to come and do adaptation to start with. I did say we were going to try and grab that seed, so we'll get those. And the AI is looking for unique elements, so the water element there, like that. And then regression, we are going to lose a seed. The AI is not going to lose its grass because it is saved from one regression element. So we lose that one we just picked up. Well, that's fine, we still have two there. Now we come to abundance, and it is most interested in sunlight. So it will grab that. And unfortunately, its highest victory points tile is only this mountain. So it will place its sunlight there next to that one there. Will it there? So it's actually probably there. So it's going to try and place it where it can affect the most tiles of its species and then the most cubes of its species. So on this mountain, and then it's basically affecting 2 tiles there or 2 tiles there, and then from these 2 options it's going to be 7, 10 species in total here compared to 9 species in total here. So it will place it on this border there. So again, that's basically how the flowchart works for the AI options. So that was abundance. We now come to wasteland, and we're going to take off seeds and water that touch tundra, like so. And now we need to grab a tundra tile for our glaciation. And we could come along and ruin this mountain, which might not be the worst idea, so yeah, we'll do that. So 1 species gets put on back there for the reptiles, and that is going to get itself more points when it comes to survival, unfortunately. Well, the only other thing to do is basically bomb our own areas with tundra, and I'm not particularly happy about that, so I guess that's how it's going to work for the time being. And that sunlight is going to move off because it's trapped between 3 tundra tiles. And then the AI wants to do a speciate onto sunlight, so it has 2 options to choose from, one there and one there. This area is going to be, yep, the most supportive and also the most species. So 1, 1 and 3, so back into forest there. Yep, okay. And then we are on to Wonderlust. So we get 2 options, 2 picks now. So first one is obviously going to be this lovely sea tile, with probably grubs actually. So let's place that. If we put it here, that would be a lot of bonus points because it's adjacent to 3 other tiles. But it does give the AI an option to move across. Even so, that's still probably... yeah, that's still probably worthwhile. So we'll do that, and we'll move quite a number of cubes across, just to support that new tile. Okay, and the basically the AI now has an option. Is this a tile supportive? Obviously, it doesn't want to move on to tiles where it's going to go extinct straight away. So, yep, it can support species placed on that tile. It does have grubs and meat as per its board. So now it wants to know, will it lose a majority in the tile it's moving from? Well, it never had a majority there in the first place, so basically it will move over half rounded up of its available cubes. So that seems about right. And then we have a second Wonderlust, and we should have got, so what was that, 1, 2, 3, so 3 adjacency tiles gets us 6 points, so up to 34. And I realise we also should have got 3 more points when we place this tundra tile out. So we should get 37. It is slightly easy to forget to score yourself bonus points when you place out the various tiles, but hopefully you'll keep track of it. And we're doing a second Wonderlust, that's going to be this jungle, I think, with the seeds that we are adapted to. And we can... I guess we could place it up here now. So we'll place it up there, and then we'll move some across from this sea, maybe one from this savannah, onto the jungle. Okay. And it's next to 2, so it's going to get us 3 more points. So 40. Okay. Nothing for migration, so now we come to competition. So spiders get the first default competition. So, excuse me a second. So we can... where is the reptile going to hit us? So on tundra, which we can't do anything about, jungle and wetlands. Well, they're not on jungle or wetlands, so that's fine. So it probably makes sense to remove them from this forest, maybe? Or start... I think start taking them off this sea, I think is a good idea. So we'll do that for the time being. So that was our default competition, and then the reptiles will get theirs, and again they can only remove this from this tundra, so they will do so. That's fine, and these should be out actually, these cubes. So yep, eliminated cubes as per competition, don't go back to your gene pool, they go out the game. And that was competition done with, so now we come to domination. So we may as well score again this sea for 9 points. So we're up to 49, behind the elements bowl there. And we can choose, so ecodiversity is going to be quite a few points, I hope. Predator, that's not going to matter too much for purposes of getting rid of the AI species. Mass exodus, and then some biomass and nocturnal again, which doesn't matter because we are first in initiative. So I think probably the better option to go for at the moment would be ecodiversity. Yep, we'll grab ourselves a bunch of VP points and stop the AI from getting them as well, I think. So basically we get 1 VP for each element that matches one's other animal. So we do grubs and seeds. So there is seeds there, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think. So we are going to get 7 points. Bringing us up to 56 up there. Okay. And that was our domination. So now the AI is going to get quite a few, I think. So that was ours for that C over there. Just marking that so we know that we've scored it. So the AI is going to... well, unfortunately for the AI, I think it's basically a bunch of tundra. So tundra is where it's going to get itself the most points. Yep, pretty much. So it's going to get 3 dominations, and it's all going to be, well, at the moment, it's all going to be at least on this tundra, for example. And it is supporting, so it's going to get domination for that. So it will get 1 point for the tundra, and then its choice of cards. So I believe that Predator is actually higher up in the hierarchy. Yep, that looks to be the case. So Predator will actually get played as a regular card and simply remove opposing species. So there, there, and there. That's not too bad. That's quite a few whittled down. And that is done with. So it's got a second domination, which is going to be this tundra, for example, and it's going to give itself a point. And it dominates. It does have the sunlight there in the corner, so that's fine. And there are no... yep, so just double checking the list. There are no preferences now for these remaining cards. They are all equally unvalued. So it will simply take the top one and get itself 5 points. So that nocturnal is out. And that's 5 points there. And then again, final domination. So that tundra for a point. And biomass will go out for another 5 points. So catching up quite a bit. Bring itself up to 52. Okay. And then Mass Exodus is the last one left, and that's just going to get held over to the new round. So we need these cubes off. So technically these little cones are used to mark domination on tiles, and it's entirely up to the players to maintain and recognize where dominance has possibly changed. But for the time being, it's just handy to mark out which tiles have been scored so they don't get scored a second time. So extinction, I don't believe there is anything that's going to go extinct. Okay, so let's have a quick check. So reptiles are good on sunlight, so that's fine. That's fine over here. Yep, they got grubs and meat, they're fine there. And then we like grubs and seeds, so yep, everything is fine, nothing's going to get extinct. Survival, we are horrendously outnumbered on the tundra tiles. So 3-2, yep, definitely in the reptiles' favour. So they're on 4 tiles, which means they get 10 points now for the bonus tiles. So you can see that if you're not careful in curbing your opponents on tundra, while they may not get a lot for domination and other such stuff, if you leave them on tundra, they get a bunch of points. So we might have to do something about that. Maybe a speciate followed by a by a migration, possibly. Anyway, so that was survival, and then we do some reseeding. So nothing in glaciation to move across. We need 4 more cards for the card row. Okay, and then we need, so these come off from the Wonderlust. These ones come off from depletion and regression. That is down, that is down, that is down. Okay, and then we get some more elements from the bowl of elements. Two, three, 4, and 1, 2, 3. And 4. So a lot of water for adaptation, but that's probably going to get removed off when it regresses down. So, yep. And we are still first, so the AI is not particularly interested in catching up on initiative. Right, looking at its board, it has plenty of elements, so it's not going to bother with adaptation. And there are plenty of elements out for it on the board at the moment, so it's not going to bother with abundance. So that is fine. So we want to get, well, we'll get the first domination in, and of course the AI will follow us on that. Right, so we've got 4 more, so maybe another domination, definitely a glaciation to keep up on that. A speciation and a migration maybe now, to try and compete on the tundra tiles and try and curb that aggressive survival points it's getting. So I said domination, maybe glaciation then, speciation, migration, and possibly then competition. Yeah, that could be an option actually. So we did the first domination, AI domination, so probably a glaciation now, followed by a second domination from the AI. And then we could speciate onto grubs is probably a good idea. So we'll go there onto grubs. The AI will do a speciation onto sunlight, still has the most sunlight, followed by a migration for us, and then the AI is now into random action territory, so 8 is going to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is going to be a second speciation. So looking at its available options now, it can basically choose grubs, meat, grass or water. So meat is the leftmost one, it will go for meat. And then we will get a competition in. So tundra is going to be inevitable, so that's fine. And we are facing reptiles on forest and sea at the moment. So, well, there's sea over there, and forest and savanna there. It's unlikely we're going to face reptiles on savanna, so we may as well go for sea there, and maybe if they speciate into jungle, we could fight them in the jungle as well. So another random option for the AI was 7. So 4, 6, 7 would be glaciation, is that right? 5, 6, 7 is indeed glaciation, so it's going to place its pawn in the glaciation queue. 6 will be depletion. So it can see that in the depletion area there are seeds and water. And we are partial to seeds, so it will have an interest then in taking off a seed tile from one of ours, or a seed element from one of our tiles. And then 5 is going to be wasteland. So yep, it will definitely come along and try and stop. Yep, grubs being removed from from the tundra, so that's fine. Which leaves, yep, that's all its actions done. So we now come to performing actions. So regression is going to be sunlight and meat. Well, we are fine. We don't have either of those on our board. The AI does have sunlight, but it is inbuilt sunlight that it cannot lose. And it does have meat, but again, it has a free regression, so it's going to save itself from that. So that's fine. Wasteland is going to be okay. The AI technically did the right thing, but I may have not planned correctly in its favour, because basically even if it takes off one of these grub icons there, the other one is still going to affect all tundra. So unfortunately, poor planning on my part, possibly with poor planning on the AI part, and it's going to lose those grubs from the 2 tundra tiles. And water, but that's not affected, so that's fine. Then we come to depletion, and yes, it will happily deplete some seeds for us. So it basically checks to see which tile do we have the most species on. So currently it's a tie between this forest over here and this jungle over here. And then it will, and this jungle here. So then it will check to see where it can affect the most tiles I have species on. So it's going to be 3 here or 3 there. And then it will check to see which one will affect the most species on those tiles. So either way it's 7, and then it's a random choice. 1 to 2 will be this top one there. So that is going to, kill all those guys off that jungle then. Okay. And then we do glaciation, so, and these should have come off as well. So we need to figure out then where to put this tundra tile. Maybe there is no good place to put it now. We could pass and not do it at all, but I think it's a bit of a waste. So it might be worth getting this forest somewhat abandoned, which would affect us a lot. So actually it might be worth not doing the tundra at all, although we would lose points for it. We wouldn't gain any points for doing the tundra option. I still want to score that C, so definitely not that. Okay, might be, so a bit of a failed option on our part, and we'll simply pass and not bother doing a glaciation whatsoever, because it would adversely affect us compared to the AI. I think that's about right. So we will now come to speciation and speciate onto meat first for the AI, and there is only meat there, so it will happily put out 4 into the sea and 3 into this forest. Maybe I should have tundraed that forest after all. Oh, never mind, too late now. My fault for not looking ahead. And then the AI will speciate onto sunlight, and again this is going to be the most beneficial area for it to do so, so 3 more onto that forest, and then 1 apiece onto those tundras, and we get to do so on grubs. So probably here now will benefit us the most. So 3 onto jungle, 3 onto forest, and 4 onto the sea, which would bring us back up to the majority there. So Wonderlust, no one's Wonderlusting, and then we get to do a migration. So basically you get 7 points of movement, and you can only move a species 1 tile. But this is where the birds have their inbuilt ability, where they can move species 2 tiles. So if we, save all these guys from extinction on that jungle, and then these guys are going to die off on that tundra. So actually we might want to move them down to this tundra. So that is 3, I believe. Yep, 3 points of movement from there, 2 points of movement from there, so it gives us 2 more. And that is currently in the reptile's favour, that forest at the bottom. So maybe a couple down onto there to bring us back into the majority there. Yep, okay. So that was all our migration movement. I think we are not going to get extinct anyway on various tiles, hopefully. No, we are going to get extinct on that tundra. Well, never mind. Okay, so that was our migration done. Now we do competition. So we have an inbuilt competition, and we may as well keep working on that tundra possibly. Or leave it and hopefully do some kind of... Yeah, the reptiles are really heavily invested in the tundra, which is not great. Well, we'll take 1 off. So our pre-built competition will be on that tundra, and we'll hopefully see what we can do about that in future rounds. And then we have a second tundra competition action. So we'll do tundra again as a default, and then we get sea and jungle. Well, we are not in competition in a jungle, so that's fine, but we will take 1 off, 1 reptile off this sea there. And then we come to domination actions. So we get to score again this sea for 9 points, bringing us up to 56 goes to 65, and we get the card choice. So fertile will be quite a lot of points, yeah, because we've got a forest with a bunch of species on them. Not that fussed about metamorphosis, although we could swap out... Nope, don't mind that at all really. Blight would negatively impact us, I believe. And then disease and mass exodus. Well, I think fertile is probably the greatest points we can get at the moment. So we will choose the fertile card, and it basically gives us victory points equal to a total number of species on a tile. So we will definitely score this one. So that's going to be 8 from us and 7 from the AI for a total of 15. So 15 species on that tile equates 15 points for the fertile card. So up to 80. So not a bad points generation there at all. And then we come to the AI's domination. So it is going to grab... again, I think it's just tundra, unfortunately, is going to be the most points generation for it. So it is not exceeding us on this forest. Definitely not on this sea. So yeah, it's basically the 2 tundra there are going to give you 2 dominations, and it will get the cards for each as well. So first domination is a point for the tundra, and then checking the cards. So it does have disease and blight in its hierarchy. So looking at the two options, disease is the first, and it basically decides, does the option occur? It does not, because I do not have more elements than the AI, so this one will just get skipped for the time being. And then it comes to blight. So it will definitely choose blight. And it will pick the tile which most negatively impacts me, which is probably going to be this C tile here. Or maybe this jungle. So this is going to be 4 points there compared to 5 points there. So technically it would be this jungle, but I'm going to do a bit of in the AI's favour here and determine that this C, if it takes off these two grubs and then leaves the one element of meat there, will actually negatively impact me greater than simply losing this jungle. So a bit of sportsmanship for the AI there. So that will be the black card worked out, which means that these guys are all going to go extinct at the end for extinction. Right, okay. Well, that's not good. And then another domination for the AI, so 1 more point up to 64. And it will now choose none of these, technically, because they're all not in its favour. So it will simply go for mass exodus and discard it for 5 points. So up to 69. Okay, catching up a bit. And then we do extinction. So now I think we are going to get hit pretty heavily. So these guys are going to come off the tundra, and these guys are all going to come off that sea. That seeds, that's fine, that seeds, they're fine. And then for the AI, I think everything is supported by either sunlight, yep, or other elements, so they're fine. So now we do survival, and the AI is definitely in control of tundra, no question about it, for another 10 points, so up to 79. And then we do some reseeding. So that gets shifted down for glaciation. 3 more cards from the deck. Like so, and various element tiles need to get resorted. So looking at the board, I think we need to start maybe doing some serious abundance and probably some speciation in the immediate future, or we're going to have a hard time getting stuff scored for end of game if we even survive that long. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's one there. Okay, 1, 2. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we gain a first. The AI has not been bothered with initiative whatsoever. Might be worth skipping a domination then, or at least doing 1 domination probably in our favour for the AI to do. So the AI now needs to check again. Is it going to do an adaptation? No, it's not. Is it going to do abundance? No, it is not. So it will come and do domination. Which leaves us with, well, I did say adaptation, well, adaptation might not be a bad idea actually. So we could try for sunlight, but then that's going to come off with the regression when it shifts down. And we are currently adapted to seeds to quite a degree, so that's fine. So probably abundance then, because there are grubs that we can put out onto the map that will not get taken off when it comes to wasteland. So sure, we'll do that. which leaves the AI doing a second domination, which leaves us with speciation then, if we're going to put grubs out. So we'll speciate onto grubs. And the AI is going to also do a speciate onto sunlight. And we need to be maybe competing then. So if it's going to speciate onto sunlight, they're going to come into this area here, again into this forest. So we could fight them in the forest and then either the desert or the savannah. None of which are any good. And we're going to do a general competition anyway, so that might be enough to curb them, or maybe we'll do some more speciation if we can speciate into sunlight maybe, which the AI has already taken. So that's no good. Possibly migration then, and we'll try to move, we'll do migration, we'll see if we can move guys around to give us the best advantage possible. Which leaves the AI doing some random options. It's going to do a third domination. And then we have maybe getting a pawn into the glaciation queue is probably a good idea. It leaves the AI doing, finally taking the initiative. So it's going to come up there and grab that one. And then it's going to do adaptation. It's not going to do adaptation because it is fully adapted. And there is nothing that it cares about with regression. Strictly not true. Well, that is technically true, but again, a bit in the AI's favour. It's going to get a free regression which will save itself from losing its grassland. However, it will then lose water. Well, looking at the amount of water elements there, it's going to lose water anyway. So there's no point wasting a pawn to put it in regression, so it will come down and probably do abundance. It has enough elements that it does care about putting out some from abundance, that's fine. And then we need to start doing actions. I'm going to take a quick pause while I sort out my camera battery. Okay, so we're into actions then. So it will do initiative as normal, so it will take its action pawn off, swap round initiative, or at least move it one space further up the track, which will give it first, and then choose another option. So 3, so it comes into aggression. Again, going to skip that for the sake of the AI. Abundance is currently full. Wasteland, it would like to probably save, these tundra tiles from losing sunlight. So it will come into, no, there is no sunlight, sorry. Would like to save the tundra tiles from losing grasses. So it will come and prevent that from wasteland. Which leaves abundance, so we were going to grab the grubs. We're going to probably place them here then, if we want to speciate out onto grubs. Yep, okay. So we'll do that. The AI was going to do, so grasses will be the leftmost one. And it wants to place them onto its highest victory points tile, which is currently the C. And it wants to place it where it can affect the most tiles, where it currently is, and where it has the most species. So basically it's going to place it here, and it doesn't impact us in the slightest, so we don't get any benefit from that, so that's fine for the AI. And then wasteland, so it was going to prevent this grass from being removed from wasteland, and that would be it, because the only other thing is going to be sunlight or seeds, and neither of those are in the wasteland box, so that's fine. Depletion doesn't matter, so now comes to glaciation, and it's going to grab a tundra tile and place it where it can basically influence the most amount of our species, which is sadly going to be this C that we've been getting points from, like so, and give itself 1 bonus point for the tile placement, like that. Okay, and then speciate onto sunlight. So again, it's going to speciate from this sunlight, gives it 3 more cubes into this forest, looking very congested there, and then 1 onto the various tundras. So I believe we have now lost the majority on that forest, but we may well get it back later on with our migration. We shall see. And then we're going to speciate onto grubs. And the only grubs one is over here, so that's what we're going to do. So 3 onto savanna, and then 3 onto jungle, and 4 onto the sea. So we are now tying the AI for scoring points, but unfortunately, because the AI is higher up, so reptiles are higher up in the food chain than arachnids, we are not going to get the majority of points there. So we might have to eliminate one of the reptiles with our competition then. So we come down to migration, and we've got 7 points of movement. Right, well, if we move 3 guys into this forest, we will get the benefit of that forest there again. Is there anywhere else to go? If we move on to the tundra, we're going to go extinct. Or, yeah, we are not supported in tundra whatsoever, unless we come over here. But even so, the air has so many... 10, 11, yeah, 10 species on tundra. There's no way we could possibly compete with survival whatsoever. Yeah, alright, so we'll just have to leave them on that. So if we move then 1 or 2 down from this savanna to this sea, that will give us the most points on that sea anyway. And we'll leave it at that. So we wasted a couple of migration points, but not too many. And we do a free competition. So again, we'll probably take off 1 reptile cube from the forest. So we definitely have the majority there. And now we come to domination. So let's have a look then. We're going to get the most, I think, out of this jungle. So that's going to be 6 points to us, 7 for the savanna. The sea would be 9, but we'd have to share it with the reptiles. And the forest would be 5, but we'd have to share it with the reptiles. So we'll score this savanna for 7. So we get 7 points, free and clear. And then we have to choose a card. So I think Cold Snap is probably the best to get rid of the reptiles on some of the tundra. Metamorphosis, not that fussed about elements at the moment. Yeah, that's more elements from symbiotic habitat. No, I don't really want to put out any more elements. It might be worth getting one out on tundra at some point, but I think we could probably skip that. So we'll go for Cold Snap, and basically means each opposing animal must eliminate one of its species on tundra. So we will start to clear out some of the reptiles from their tundra tiles that they've been inhabiting. Not sure reptiles in a snowy wasteland is the best idea, but there we go. And that will be that. So now the AI is going to do its domination, and again I believe it's simply more tundra scoring is going to get it the best points return, and also domination. So it's got 3 dominations for these 3 tundras, so point there. And again, these cards are not particularly valued, so it will simply take the topmost off. So disease is technically valued, but it does not occur because we have less elements than the reptiles, so it will simply remove this for 5 points. Up to there. Second tundra score for a point, and then removing a card for 5. Up to 91, and then a third tundra for a point, and also 5 for removing a card. So definitely clearing out the card row and getting quite a few points from it. So now we need to do extinction. Do we go extinct now? I think we're quite safe. So seeds and grubs will save all our species, and the AI again is similarly, well served in its various areas, so that's fine. So now we need to, again going to score 6 points I think for the AI for survival, so it's only on 3 tundra tiles now, and that would be 6 bonus points. So it's going to come round to 103. Okay, and we need to... I may have been forgetting to turn up Wonderlust tiles. I'm not sure how many rounds I've been forgetting to do that, but hopefully I don't believe it affected too much. But yes, when it comes to resetting the rounds, you are supposed to flip up Wonderlust tiles to show which ones are available. And then we need... So there's Catastrophe. That would be very beneficial if we can grab it first. And there is Ice Age, which will end the game. Right. So a bit of planning needed here. So that's going to be Glaciation. So this is going to be technically the last round, because the first domination the AI does, it grabs the Ice Age card if it's available. And the Ice Age card is now out, so when that is picked as a domination card, stuff happens, and then you finish up the round, and that is the end of the game. So the AI is going to grab the Ice Age for its first domination. Categorically it is number 1 in its tier of priorities, which leaves us with probably very few options to choose from then before we are out of cards to play. So maybe Catastrophe, I think, would be a nice one to try and whittle down those AI cubes on Tundra. And we might be able to get one more in. I'm not entirely sure though. We'll have to see. So looking at the board state, the AI is not going to bother with abundance. It has plenty of elements. It's not fussed. Sorry, not going to bother with adaptation, and I don't believe it's fussed about abundance, so it's not going to devote any of its pawns to doing those options, at least not as scripted options anyway. So we need to be definitely... Oh, it's the AI to go first. Oh dear. Okay. So the AI is definitely going to go first for domination, as one of its set options, which leaves us following up there. And then we need to do a second domination for the AI. And probably a Wonderlust then for us. There are no... Right, if we put out grubs for abundance, we could do a supported Wonderlust, so we'll do that. And then the AI is going to speciate again onto sunlight. And there's no point doing another glaciation because that pawn is not going to come through this round. So maybe competition then, and try and whittle down as many AI pieces as possible. We're going to do a free competition anyway, so that's not too terribly bad. Yeah, well, I did say abundance, so we're going to go do that, which leaves the AI doing some random stuff. So one is initiative. It's going to skip initiative because it's already first, so it's going to come down to adaptation, which it's going to skip, and regression, which it will actually skip because it doesn't affect it in any way. Abundance, it would like to see some more sunlight out, so it will definitely do abundance. Which leaves us with our final option. So basically, depletion would not affect the AI in any way. Wasteland would not affect us, so we can safely move off those options. Maybe another Wonderlust then. So probably either a speciation, a migration, or a Wonderlust. Yeah, I think probably a Wonderlust, and we'll see if we can't finagle some extra points out of it that way. So the AI is going to do 11, which is a competition. So it's currently facing us on sea and forest. So basically, it could be either that one, which is tundra, sea and jungle, or over here for tundra, forest and savanna, or tundra, forest or desert. So basically either one will affect the same amount of species for us, which is 1, so it will just go for the leftmost option, which will be tundra, desert and forest. And then 6 is going to be 3 depletion, and it would very much like to deplete some grubs for us, so it will definitely come and do that. And then finally 3 is regression, and again regression will not affect it in any way, so it will come down to wasteland. Yep, it will take that option there. So now we come to options, and we're going to do the first abundance, which was going to be grubs. So if we place them over here, for example, and then we could Wonderlust off in that direction, maybe. Yeah, that's an idea anyway. So we'll take these are very nice wetlands and place them there. So that gets us 3 points for the tile placement, up to 91. And then we need to... Nope, I'm sorry, I'm getting slightly ahead of myself. That is not going to happen just yet. Wonderlust is later on. So I have forecasted my plans anyway, so we're going to put grubs out there to then support a Wonderlust tile over there. So anyway, the AI is going to use sunlight in abundance. So its highest scoring tile is this C. So it basically wants to support that. So it will place sunlight there. Again, it's a random option between the two. So 4, 5, 6 will be at the bottom there. So it's going to put that there. And then wasteland, it will save this sunlight from being taken off tundra tiles. So these 2 sunlight elements will be saved. And meat is not on the tundra elements at all, so that's fine. And then we want to glaciate. So if we grab this and place it... well, there's nowhere again that we can put it. It was simply an option to save us from being glaciated. So just up here probably then to completely wipe out that jungle. Again, maybe in this jungle just to give us a cube onto tundra, but I think saving that for end of game points is probably the best option. So that was glaciation. And now we need to do a speciate for the reptiles, again onto this sunlight, I believe. Actually, no, it might be this one now. Let's have a quick check. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. Compared to 2, 4, 6. So actually, oh no, 7, 8. So again, technically onto this forest or this area of tiles here. So it will get 3 onto the forest, 1 onto tundra, 1 onto tundra. And then we need to do 2 Wanderlusts. So again, the one I slightly forecast will be this wetlands tile for 3 points. And we could put an element on it, but I don't see any reason to do so, simply because the only elements at the moment are water, meat and grasslands, of which we have no preference. The AI, however, has practically all the elements, so there's no way we want to give this wetlands tile any benefit to the AI, so we will simply leave it like so, and move across a couple from this savanna, I think. And the AI can move onto it because it is technically supportive. So actually, it will also move. In that case, then it might be worth moving across 1 from the sea there, simply because now the AI will move across enough so it can gain a majority. without losing half of its, or without losing the majority here. Well, it doesn't have a majority anyway, so it's going to move up to half of its existing cubes over to the wetlands. So as long as we leave 3 there, we still have the majority on that wetlands. It's not going to affect us for competition, because it's not going to, when it comes to the AI's competition, it's not going to do it in wetlands. That's fine. We can quite happily have 3 there to the AI's 2 and safely outlast it. We need to do a second Wonderlust, which is going to be again this jungle, probably down here now. So another 3 points for adjacency. And again, there's no point putting out an element tile because it would only benefit the AI and not ourselves. So now we have, what's that going to be? So we're losing majorities on this forest. So it's quite reasonable then to probably move across about half our cubes onto this jungle. And we have not lost anything from the forest, but we have now gained an area in the jungle, so that's fine. And then we can do no migration, so we can do a free competition. And maybe an idea just to, I don't know, reduce the reptiles on that wetland somewhat. Nowhere else is particularly enticing, so that's fine. And then the AI will do a competition on tundra, on desert and forest. So it will reduce us on the forest, and we're not on tundra, and we're not on desert. So just that one there. Which brings us to domination. Right, so that one there for the AI. Again, probably going to be forest now. So it's going to be 5 points to the AI, 3 points for us. So technically, at least 1 more point than it would be if it was scoring tundra. So we'll do that. So it's going to get 5 points up to 8. And we will get 3 from the forest up to 97. So a ways behind, but we'll hopefully catch up in a second. Oops. And then it will choose, so in the hierarchy of cards, it will choose Ice Age. So that is its guaranteed #1 pick. So now we basically do the Ice Age text, and then we follow through and finish up, and then we do, and that's the final round. So each animal scores bonus victory points based on the total number of tiles it currently dominates. So looking at the reptiles then, so it's dominating 1 tundra there. Let me just double check. Yeah, so it was going to get that card for dominating the forest. We are not in contention there. So it's going to get 1 point, 1 tile there for domination, 2, 3, 4. Does it dominate this sea? I believe it does. So 2 points for that, 3, 4, 5, 6, compared to us, which is only interested in grubs there for 4. So it's dominating this sea, so that's going to be 5 tiles, and it is not dominating this wetlands. So it's currently dominating 5 tiles, so the bonus points for 5 tiles is 15. So it's going to get itself 15 points. That would be 18, 23. And then we get bonuses compared to our tiles. So this tundra, this jungle, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 for that wetlands, I believe, which brings us 15 points as well. So that would be 97 to 107, 112. Okay, so 15 points apiece is not too bad. That card is out, and then this is the end of the rounds basically. So we need to finish up our domination, which will be good question. Probably 7 points for this savannah, I think, is the highest scoring. This wetland will give the reptiles 4 points as well, so it's not worth it. And this sea will give the reptiles some points, and we wouldn't actually get domination. So savannah for 7 brings us up to 19. And we do get to grab a card, so probably Catastrophe, otherwise the AI is definitely going to use it against us. Would be beneficial. Yeah, I think that's probably about right. So if we do Catastrophe now, we could wipe out this forest, but wouldn't affect the tundra too much. If we do it on a tundra, that would limit the AI scoring on tundra. Otherwise, the AI, yeah, I think we'll definitely do it there. So we'll use Catastrophe, which basically eliminates all but one species on a particular tile, so that tundra there, and then one species from adjacent tiles, so that one's off that tundra, reptile off that tundra, and off the forest. And unfortunately we have to lose one from this jungle there, but that's collateral damage for you. And that is Catastrophe done with. So then the AI will come to its final domination, and where have we scored so far? So I should be keeping track of these, unfortunately. So we scored this savannah. The AI scored, I believe it was the forest. So it can't score the forest again, so it is probably going to be just one of these tundra now. So yep, one of the tundra for another point. It's maintaining its lead somewhat, and it's going to pick another card. And looking at the list, it's basically aquatic, I believe, is... no, niche biomes is actually higher up in the tier. So does the activating condition apply? No, it does not, so it will actually skip niche biomes and will go on to aquatic instead. So we need to pick a sea tile. There is a sea tile available. We need to pick the element it has most of, so it's going to be sunlight, like so, and then place out 4 species. So that might be enough to, that is enough to actually take control of that sea tile, unfortunately. Never mind. So that card is out now. And then the game is, no, we do extinction now, so we follow up the final steps. So extinction, I don't believe anyone is going extinct, so we like grubs and seeds. That is enough to support our species, and the AI has abundance of elements and is going to support all its species, that's fine. Survival, it's going to be still in the AI's favour, and they're going to get 3 points for it, for those 2 tiles, up to 27. And then there's no point reseeding because we have now come to the end of the game, so we do a final scoring of all tiles where you basically just score the tiles, but no domination for cards or anything. So the AI is going to get 1, 2 from these 2 tundras, so we'll give it 2 points there. 9 points from this sea. Well, let's do it this way. So 1, 2 from the 2 tundras there. We're going to get a total of 7 from these 2 tiles there, so that's 26. Then we need 6 from this jungle, and 5, no, the AI is going to get 5 for that forest, up to 34, but we are going to get 3 for it, so there. Then the AI will get 9 points for that sea, just about, unfortunately. Brings us to 43, and we will get 5 points for the sea, to 40. And then we'll finally get 8 points for that wetlands, to 48. I can get rid of this elements bowl now. And the AI is going to get 4 for the wetlands, to 47. And I believe that is it. I don't recall if I scored that savannah, but either way, we are still ahead, very slightly on points, even without the scoring of the savannah. So yeah, we just about beat the AI. It was very close, and probably poor planning with letting most of our species die off towards the middle of the game in various areas. But that was a solo game of Dominant Species. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.